So in today's video, I want to experiment a bit in the NU tier with Jellicent. Jellicent is another Water Absorb Pokemon, but does have Taunt, and that's the main thing I want to explore here today. So in the past, in the NU tier, you've really seen the rise of Water Absorb Mons as being central to a team. So the main examples of that would be Vaporeon and Mantine, and more recent times Gastrodon has joined the mix. And Vaporeon has run a couple of sets, but it always runs Heal Bell over Toxic as far as I've been able to tell. And then it always has Wish Protect, and the last move can either be Scald, or more recently I've seen some Flip Turn ones. In any case, the opposing Water Absorb Pokemon in theory can block the Vaporeon from using its Water move, but the Vaporeon can still use its annoying support moves, right? It can Heal Bell the team, it can Wish Protect, it can Wish and Pass. So Jellicent seeks to negate that benefit of Vaporeon by having Taunt. So we're going to have Taunt and a little bit of speed to outspeed not only Vaporeon with no speed investment, but also outspeed no speed Mantine. And that should hopefully protect Jellicent from Toxic from Mantine, and we'll be able to Toxic it back with a Toxic of our own. Now, Jellicent has quite a good move pool, all things considered, and so I'm not exactly sure what the most optimal moveset would be for Jellicent. For example, right now we're running Recover. Recover gives us a consistent recovery option, whereas Strength Sap, well, it's really nice against physical attackers when you're fighting against fat Pokemon like Vaporeon. Oh great, I lower your special attack, or I lower your attack stat, which wasn't great to begin with. I don't heal very much, and I recover increasingly less. So that's not really that good in that instance. And so this Jellicent is going for Recover. I think that's going to be better in the end. Similarly, we're running Hex as our ghost move. We could run Shadow Ball, we could run Scald, we could run all sorts of things, but I think we do want Hex so that we can actually chip down the water types, and if their status, Hex of course is stronger than Shadow Ball, but Shadow Ball could be good too. Finally, we're running Toxic over Will-O-Wisp, because although Will-O-Wisp will be really nice for the physical attackers and crippling those, so Jellicent has more bulk overall. The one exception to that is Mantine. I've seen Mantine running Water Veil over Water Absorb, which personally I don't really know how I feel about that. I don't actually know what you're using it for. I guess is to make you a better Talonflame check, if I had to guess. But at the same time, it also means that the Vaporeon can get a slow Flip Turn out on you. So that's sort of funny. I feel like having Water Absorb would still be really useful for that at least. But Toxic will status the Mantine, whereas Will-O-Wisp would not. So that's why we're running Toxic. Alright, in the next slot we've got Rotom as our electric type and as a pivoter. We're not running Choice Scarf on this particular Rotom, we're running a leftover set here. But still got the full offensive spread, because that's the most easy thing to run. This will be our backup defogger in case we need to use that move, but mostly you just want to be Leaf Storming and Volt Switching with Rotom. Finally, instead of going for Pain Split, I'm running Will-O-Wisp, and the reason we're running Will-O-Wisp is if you look at this team, we are very weak to Drapion. And so I don't want to be completely weak to it, although Drapion, of course, does mess up Rotom. Even if I can get a dying Will-O-Wisp off, then there's that. The other thing the Will-O-Wisp hits is Decidueye or Dhelmise, who will resist the grass and electric combination, or any grass type, right? Dhelmise, Serena, Decidueye, which is a pretty big threat to this team. So that would be sort of what we're looking to hit with the Will-O-Wisp, and I think that if I can get some preliminary burns on other Pokemon, then the Jellicent's Hexes will be better. Note, by the way, that Jellicent is not a very strong Pokemon, besides the fact that we didn't give it any investment. This is actually not that strong of a spread, if we're being completely honest. The HP is the only thing that Jellicent has going for it, and 85 is a pretty weak attack stat. So it's not going to be doing too much damage if we don't have a Hex boost. And even after that, it still won't be doing too much damage. So we have to take that in consideration. Alright, next up we got Salazzle. I mean, that's the plot Salazzle. We're not running Protect and we're not running Substitute. We're just going to be running 2 attacks plus Nasty Plot and then Toxic to give us another status Pokemon. Maybe they go into something like Gastrodon on us. I just want to get a Toxic off so that Jellicent can do its job later on. I think that'll be good. Next up we got Choice Scarf and Didi to help us deal with other Choice Scarf Pokemon. And you know, like Choice Scarf Pissimian, for instance, which only hits base 80 speed. And has really strong expanding forces. And getting up the Psychic Terrain is nice for Salazzle and for Silvally, in case they need to avoid like First Impression or something. Then Diancie next up. This is going to be just standard Diancie. It's giving us Stealth Rock, as well as a Cleric support. If my Jellicent gets status, it's probably going to really cut into its lifespan, and I don't want that. As well as maybe Rotom getting status could be annoying if I'm trying to play a longer game. And then, you know, just what Diancie does. Gives us a Talonflame switch in, which is quite useful. Finally, we've got the Silvally Ground. We need a ground type. You don't want to be completely weak to electric moves. And this will just be a standard offensive Silvally with U-turns so that we can have a second pivoter on the team. So that's the team, and hopefully it puts in work. So let's go find a battle. All right. So we've got double Ghost and a Drapion on my opponent's team, and no water type to speak of. So although I did call being weak to Decidueye and Drapion as potential issues, and so good for me for recognizing that, we also don't get to use the Jellicent to its fullest potential. Although we can taunt the Sylveon, it also has Hyper Voice, which is going to be annoying because we don't really have a good Sylveon resist. So yeah, this is going to be quite a threatening team. Now, I don't have really anything on my opponent's team that wants to take a ground move, I don't think. Here, do you click Poltergeist or do you click Earthquake? I think if I go hard Rotom, that's not too bad of an option. They could be Choice Scarf. They are not Choice Scarf. I'm just going to click the Will-O-Wisp here as they stay in. That's fine. And now I can click Defog as if they stay into Toxic, that's okay. And now we'll Leaf Storm here. We cannot miss, and they don't get Stealth Rock up. So that's actually fantastic. Now the problem is the Drapion has come out, and this is the big issue. So it's a speed tie with Silvally Ground, and that's great. Looking at Diancie, Diancie is the only thing that really deals with Drapion. And it looks like it's set up Swords Dance, which means that it doesn't have Earthquake, but it does get the first turn poison with Poison Jab, which is unfortunate. Alright, so I can't sack Salazzle. I sort of want to, but I can't really. I want to keep this for Heal Bell if I can. Looking around, what do I have? I'm actually going to sack Jellicent here. That was really weird. I don't understand what happened there. I'm going to taunt you here so you can't set up. If I had a Colbur Berry, I could have lived that. That would have been cool. And I'm just going to go to Silvally Ground and click multi-attack. That's the main thing. The Sugar Berry. Okay. So now let's calc Choice Scarf from Didi against Drapion. Okay, it looks like they run Sugar Berry as standard, actually. Okay, Dazzling Gleam does not kill, which is very problematic. And then let's calc the Salazzle. Salazzle does 59%. Thank you, Salazzle. Flamethrower time. That actually kills. Good. Actually surprising that Salazzle is that strong. I always think of Salazzle as sort of a weaker Pokemon. But that does quite a lot, so I'll take it. At this point, I'm sort of forced to stay in here. I can't let this set up on me. So I'm going to Sludge Wave it. And it actually misses, which is great. Unfortunately, because it is Rockhead, that didn't really matter at all. And now I just get to click Expanding Force because they sacked their only Psychic immunity. So that's cool. They could technically save Tyrantrum, but I don't really see them having a switch in other than Sylveon. So I'll just take that. Now at this point, you'll notice that my team is really passive against some really strong Pokemon. So I don't really see this ending favorably. But what are you gonna do? Okay, and they can't Sucker Punch me. So my opponent definitely choked hard there. Guess playing off their choke is one way to win. Tauros. Let's quickly do some quick maths. Tauros versus Indeedee. Expanding Force is just no-co. Yeah, I'll take it. Cool, cool, cool. And Sylveon gets to come out. So I am going to go... Let's see how much this does to Sylveon now. Because Sylveon can definitely stall us out, right? And that's going to be really annoying. Right, Expanding Force there doesn't do anything. They actually take a lot more than I expected. So that might be a more offensive Sylveon. Maybe one of those Choice Specs ones that I like to use so much. I don't know my calcs. Okay, that is definitely an offensive Sylveon spread, so I'm just going to sack the Diancie at this point. Then we'll come back in and we'll Expand Force again. All right, so we take game one, and as I said before in the team preview, the Drapion definitely was an issue, but fortunately we were able to play around with it. I'm surprised that Salazzle does that much, but at the same time, I'm also surprised that the Silvally did so little. I guess I shouldn't be that surprised because it was Sugar Berry. If it hadn't been Sugar Berry, it would have been a no-co. It's just a little bit sad that it did so little. I think that was a speed tie though, right? Drapion. And use Sword Stance. Yeah, that was a speed tie. So we definitely got bailed out there because the Silvally would not have lived. And without that 50% damage off, then the Salazzle didn't kill. So really fortunate that we had that happen. If this Rotom were Choice Scarfed with Will-O-Wisp or some whack set like that, then that could be something. But then I would have been locked in against the Golurk and I wouldn't have gotten the that great series at the beginning, which definitely helped out. No Stealth Rock up, and the Golurk neutralized right from the start meant that my opponent really couldn't do too much. And I don't regret going for Will-O-Wisp turn one because I couldn't miss because it was almost certainly no guard. And more importantly, I think that might have been Sash lead. So being able to Will-O-Wisp first and then Defog after, I think, is the superior series of plays against that. Jellicent didn't get to do anything. It just got sacked, but it didn't have a role in that game because it didn't have a water type. Here we see they have a Vaporeon, which is good. They also have that Choice Scarf Passimian, so I will take it. I'm actually going to lead off with Indeedee here. Against Frostlass can't do too much to me. I'm going to click the Dazzling Gleam here as I go for Icy Wind. And now I'm going to go into Salazzle as I go for Spike. And at this point, I'm just going to click Flamethrower, just attack what's in front of me. I could always go Vaporeon here. But they actually decided to go Passimian, which is weird play. Okay. So what would you go for here? I want to keep Diancie for Talonflame. And I want to keep Jellicent for Vaporeon. Indeedee is my offense. I think I might actually go Rotom in case they go for Rock Slide. Personally. They go for Knockoff, okay. That's fine by me. I'm going to click Volt Switch here. Let's go Vileplume, yep. And I'm going to go back into Salazzle. And I'm going to click Toxic here. Because they almost certainly are going to go into Vaporeon here. I don't see you ever staying in with this. But even if they do, that's fine. And I can actually go now into my... what do we go into here? Um. You know, I'm gonna stay in. That's what I'm gonna do. Because what does Vileplume do to you? Nothing, as far as I know. Okay. Then if they click knock off again, expecting my Rotom, and then you get it to a KO, right? Then Diancie can work as a play. Yep, they do click knock off. And I'm going to click the Stealth Rock. I don't know if I really have the momentum at this point to get the hazards gone. I'm gonna go Jellicent here. I do have heavy duty boots on Jellicent, so the spike doesn't really matter at all to me. And at this point, I think Hex is a pretty safe play. As I go Passimian, how much is this gonna do? Probably not enough. Yeah, if I'd been Shadow Ball there, we would have been fine. I'm gonna go back to Diancie here. And now we go into Jellicent hard, because they went Vaporeon last time and it was a safe play that worked out for them. So I don't see why they wouldn't do that again. Okay. I'm gonna definitely have to switch here into Salazzle. As I go for Giga Drain, yep, that's safe enough for my opponent to go for. And Flamethrower here. Okay. If I go into my Rotom, that's a more offensive play. And if... what would you try to heal up here? I don't know. I'm gonna just Leaf Storm here. Strong move. I don't know if it kills Vaporeon, but it does a lot. Now I'm gonna Will-O-Wisp the Grimmsnarl. One thing I'm struggling to do here is getting in the Jellicent on the Vaporeon, right? Because I'm not Volt Switching or U-turning on the Vaporeon coming in, then I'm not getting in to stop them going for Wish. And that's the big problem, as far as I can tell. All right. Time to go into my Diancie. Darkest Lariat. Okay. And now we just go for the Diamond Storm. As I miss, which is fantastic. That does a lot, and I get a crit, so that sort of makes up for it. I'm gonna go Hardened Deity here. And go for Dazzling Gleam. Okay. And that takes care of the Salazzle to an extent. I can go for Sludge Wave here, and they don't have a good Sludge Wave switch in. So they get a rest off, but yeah. It's sort of interesting that you can still Sleep Talk in terrain. That's sort of a way to get around that. That's pretty cool. At this point, I actually sort of want to stay in and just Sludge Wave the Talonflame. And then I'm going to go into Diancie here as they U-turn out. That's cool, I guess. And now they're probably going to bring in the Vaporeon. And then try to wish it up, if I had to guess. Oh, Frostlass comes out. Icy Wind. That's an interesting play. I don't know what they expected to do there. Because they could have gone into any number of Pokemon and gotten rid of the Diancie, but they didn't. So that's sort of funny. Just body press here, I don't really care. Okay. So they knocked off there, that's fine. I can go into my Rotom here and just click Volt Switch. I don't think you want to stay in against this. So this might be an example where, no. Okay, we are Heavy Duty Boots, so I can go Vileplume here. And we always will. I'm going to Sludge Wave here. That actually does not kill. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I'm going to go Rotom here. I think that's always the best play. They can kill me if they want to, as they don't actually even end up killing me, so that's cool. I'm going to go into my Solvali, because that sort of makes them want to go Vaporeon, I think. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to Swords Dance up. It could be a choke, but I don't think that they're going to, yeah. So now, yeah, they can't wish and dodge that. So that's good. Problem is, though, is that the Pissimian... What? Okay, so Pissimian went for knockoff, which I understand that play, because you have to hit the Jellicent. I'm really surprised. Let's see that roll real fast. I would have thought that that would have killed, frankly. I know that the knockoff plus the RKS system with the memory does some weird stuff. Knockoff 21.1 to 25%, and they got 21.5. So I think that might have been a min roll on that, and I had 1% left. Yeah, so they got absolute minimum. Let's see what that would do to Jellicent. Knockoff does half, and after they knock me off, they'll be doing less. So in theory, I don't know if I can recover stall that, but I could have definitely made it an annoying endgame for sure. Because after you get rid of my item, let's go up here, just for my own edification. After you get rid of an item, it only does 33%. So depending on rolls, if I can get back up to full, then they do 30%, like 35%-ish. I toxic them. They do another 35%, and I recover. And then I can just recover, and I can toxic stall. So I think Jellicent should have still had that endgame. But, yeah. Cool. I'll take that. Yeah, so unfortunately, we saw in that game that the Vaporeon was able to get wishes off before I was able to get the Jellicent in. So maybe a better way of building around this kind of concept would be to say, what Pokemon invite in Vaporeon that I can also have as pivoters, right? For instance, if I had a, I don't know, Frostlass, just as something we saw in the last game. Frostlass, or Talonflame, actually. Talonflame would be a good example. Talonflame is going to be something that invites in Vaporeon. If I can U-turn out on you, because I know you're going to come in, then I can get in my Jellicent. So Talonflame might be a better Pokemon than Salazzle on this particular team. Be better fighting check. It would outspeed Drapion and be able to Will-O-Wisp it and then neutralize the Drapion. Although I don't know how I like using Drapion, or Talonflame as a Drapion check, simply because it has knockoff. Once your Talonflame gets knocked off, it's really hard to use it defensively. But, you know, it's just something to consider there. We also saw in that game that we are a little bit Pissimian. I mean, not Pissimian weak. We saw Pissimian was also a really weak Pokemon, but it is sort of annoying. Okay, Dragonair. That's fun. I like Dragonair. But how good is it? I feel like I haven't ever seen a Dragonair really used successfully outside of like top tier people knowing how to use it and trolling the ladder. But it's not like a thing that you see in standard play. Okay, Aerodactyl as a lead could be something as well. This is a person who doesn't have any points on the ladder, but their team definitely looks like something that would have points. Let's start off with Rotom. And you don't know what kind of set I am. If I'm Trick Rotom and I trick you right now, this Dragonair is put, I think. So let's go for Volt Switch here, as they decide to stay in, and I will go hard to Deancey. Okay. And I'm actually going to just click Diamond Storm here, as they're a Waterfall. Alright. What? So this is Dragon Dance Dragonair. Yeah. Dragonair. It's 70 base speed. So we do outspeed it with the D and DD. And let's just give it max attack, but we'll assume this Jolly. And Waterfall. Is that what I just saw come out? At +1 attack. That does half. I think I'm sort of forced to go into it. Yeah, that does a lot. Does a heck ton. But they don't have any good expanding force switches other than, I guess, maybe Gastrodon. But they sacked that. So that was not the coil set I was expecting. Normally you see stuff like Coil and what he was the Coil Rest with Shed Skin, but that was not what they were running on this day. Okay, let's go Rotom. I don't care if they toxic me, but I care if they toxic Jellicent for sure. I'm just going to click the Will-O-Wisp actually here, because if I can get status on these things, then it's easier to hex later on. And I wasn't sure if they were going to go Vileplume or if they were going to stay in, but we'll take it either way. Okay, I'm going to go for Volt Switch here because we can't stay in, obviously. And at this point, looking at my opponent's team, Aerodactyl is the only thing on my opponent's team that DNC is any kind of matchup against. So I'm just going to sack it here and try to get up Stealth Rock if I can. And now I'm going to Heal Bell, because they actually let me get that too. So I was not expecting to get a Heal Bell plus a Stealth Rock, but we'll take it. And they are Ancient Power. So my opponent is definitely having fun with their team, but at the same time, the Mons on their team are still sort of problems. Good, but they just sacked it. Cool, cool, cool. I will say my opponent, one thing I probably should have noticed right off the bat is that they have triple ground, so that's sort of interesting. Okay, the Vileplume went for Sludge Bomb last time. I would have expected more of a Sleep Powder move on my opponent's part. Salazzle doesn't really have as much use in this game. They went for Strength Sap, that's fine. I'm just going to go for Flamethrower as they go Golurk. Okay. If they are Choice Scarfed, then that's something. I have to keep Rotom healthy. That's for sure, for sure. And Jellicent isn't bad at any given point. Let's see. How much does Choice Scarf do? Golurk. Let's do Choice Scarf against Silvally. Because if I can keep all my pieces, I think that's better. Why not Salazzle? I know it does. Choice Scarf Earthquake is still a 2-hit KO. Okay. And multi-attack does 59. So that's not a good roll for me. Would you go for Poltergeist though here? That's the problem. I don't know. I'm just going to click Flamethrower here. Alright, we overthought that a bit, but they did go for Poltergeist. So I'm glad that I made the play I did. For sure, for sure. And then let's go into... Well, actually, let's just go into Indeedee, I think. Indeedee should kill this with Expanding Force. Yeah, it does. And it should do tons of damage to everything else. So they don't really have an Expanding Force switch in at this point. So we almost threw it away there at the beginning against the Dragonair, but I think Indeedee's just going to come in clutch here at the end. Unfortunately, this is another game where my opponent doesn't really have a good water type. I don't know what they're running, so we'll just toss that one out. Whatever. Expanding Force kills, unless they're Choice Scarf, I do outspeed. Okay, good. That's fun. Yeah, Indeedee is actually a deceptively strong Pokemon in this tier. The power level is low enough for Indeedee to really punch holes in a lot of stuff in this tier. I do like Psychic Terrain spam as a thing. It's one of my more favorite types. And it looks like my opponent is left. So in this game, what could Jellicent do? Well, it's a slow Jellicent, so it's not going to be doing anything against Golurk. If I were running a max speed Jellicent, let's see if that would kill. Or if that would outspeed, sorry. Golurk. Voice Band, sure, why not? Against some kind of Jellicent. We're base 60 speed versus base 55. Okay. So if I wanted to invest into Jellicent, I could get enough speed to outspeed a Golurk. And if I ran Shadow Ball... Shadow Ball... I don't know how to spell Shadow Ball, apparently. Shadow Ball. That only does 57, but if I were Modest, max speed, max special attack, right? We're running this really crazy offensive spread, as opposed to the bulkier one we're running right now. We still don't kill. So this is a bit unfortunate, right? Because you're so weak, and I'm not going to sacrifice the heavy duty boots, I think you need that. I don't really know if that's really that great of an option. but you are getting a decent amount of power, and Jellicent is pretty weak otherwise. And the big problem you saw as well is that the Gastrodon is the one thing I can absorb the water moves from, but it always is going to have Toxic, or usually is going to have Toxic. And I do have the Heal Bell on this team specifically for that. But just because I have the Heal Bell doesn't mean I want to have to go for it. But I'm going to have to go for it if I need the Jellicent to stay healthy. So I don't really know how to change this up. I think the Salazzle wasn't bad, and it definitely helped against the Drapion. But having something that could invite in Vaporeon, or invite in Gastrodon, and then you can pivot out into the Jellicent, that's what this team needs, and that's what this team doesn't have. So keep that in the back of your head. If this is something that appeals to you, maybe you can give me some suggestions in the comments, or make your own team. And yeah, that's all we've got for today, and I'll catch you guys next time.